Hi again. I just tried to start a live video and it kept trying to kick me out. So here I am on a different browser. And happy Thanksgiving, as I was saying, to all of my Canadian friends. And in Canada, we have a different Thanksgiving than those in the US, and it's today. So it's technically a holiday, and I did not book any clients. And I've been wanting to get to videos and communicate with you some of the things that I've been thinking about, and I wanted to talk about obviously the liver and doing fasting and healing, and how to do the intermittent fasting, which I find very fantastic, and why, like the why of it. That's what I want to talk about today primarily, and I do have other lists of topics that I would like to get to. Hopefully I can someday soon when I hire staff to help me make the over 100 products I'm making currently, and I'd like to design more. And it's getting a little out of control. And in fact, I've been having some downtime because as a health practitioner, one of the huge parts of this is you're just constantly pouring out energy. And if you do not stop to nourish yourself and rejuvenate yourself and do self-care, you're burnt out, you're useless to everyone, and it's not a good place. And I'm very close to burnout. And so I've been having to do like a lot of rest. And good news is I've been renovating, well, I've hired someone to renovate my one and only bathroom into my spa retreat where I will probably live. And I was thinking I would do like a video series from the bath. Would that be appropriate? I probably would just cut it off about here, but why not, right? Because I may live in there for a while. That's what I'm saying. Because I'm a bath girl, and I've lived in this house for 6 years without a bath, and it's just been this little stupid shower. And I'm a single parent, and then we bought this like Tupperware tub for her to have baths, and it's like enough's enough. It's time to get a bathtub in here, and so that's been happening. So I'm very excited, because that's actually one thing I want to talk about. Is one of the ways of detoxing is to sweat. And when you have a submersive hot water exposure, you can actually sweat through your pores and get rid of a lot of toxins that way. And it's a very good option for people who are trying to cleanse, lose weight, deal with their thyroid issues, deal with diabetes, deal with all kinds of metabolic problems, hormonal problems. Your liver is the master gland of your body. It is the organ that has to assimilate, organize, and make decisions for where everything goes in the body. That's a major, major deal. Everything you eat, everything you breathe, everything that goes on your skin has to go and communicate with the liver and go through the liver and then be disseminated and decided after that. And our livers are so inundated with toxins in this world. It's ridiculous. We're not living how we used to. We're not living an exercise heavy, fresh, picked off the vine fruit and veggie lifestyle. For the most part, we're living high carb, like high sugar, carb, soda, stimulants, and even the foods that are supposed to be healthy are genetically modified, sprayed with pesticides, full of antibiotics, other kinds of residues, and it's heavy metals, and they're spraying us with heavy metals that most people are oblivious to. And it's cumulative, and we have to do our fasting. We have to take care of our organs. If you have cancer, if you have heart disease, if you have diabetes, if you have any rheumatoid arthritis or any type of arthritis, you need to be detoxing. Most people come to me, they're like, oh, hey, I have this problem with my wrist and it hurts, or my knees aren't great, or I have candida problems, or my skin rashes, I have this skin rash. And my first thing, you got to detox. Have you detoxed? When was the last time that you released toxins from your body? When was the last time you fasted and let your organs rest and heal themselves? What have you done for those? And most people, they're clueless, or they say, well, I've never done that. I'll talk to 60, 70-year-olds, and they'll say, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know that's a thing. So then that becomes a lot of education, and I thought it high time just to focus on that education right now and why you do it and some of those details. And I will try to get to some comments, because I am doing this as a live Facebook chat. So far so good. Round 2 seems to be great. Round 1 I tried was very weird. And someone saying, hey, I'm up in this part and was wondering if I could stop by and buy a terrain sport tee. Yes, you can. Just let me know. Probably by this afternoon you can come by. Okay. And hi from Buckhorn, Ontario. I have some friends in Buckhorn. That's awesome. Do you know Braja in Buckhorn? Or is he in Buckhorn? Yeah, he's in Buckhorn. Okay. Hi. Okay, said hi to everybody. Nice. And the liver, so back to the liver and understanding why it's so important to do this, and understanding the foods that we eat, because I haven't done a lot of focus on foods, but I do want to talk about that today and what we're putting in our mouths. Now, for the most part, I know many of you know Dr. Atkins and Dr. Atkins' work. He was a really great scientist, a great doctor. He was someone who educated a lot of people, and he did really good work. I think if he had done a little bit more research before he passed, he probably would have become a plant-based, high-fat, high-protein doc. I think he would have gone that route rather than more of the meat-based ketogenic or high-fat, high-protein support diet, because that really is the diet we're meant to eat. We aren't meant to eat this level of carb that is happening. So, and what I mean by carbohydrate, like what makes us fat, sluggish, hormonally imbalanced, metabolically deficient, and so forth, are the grain families, especially the stripped grains. So like your rices and the wheats and these kinds of things. Even more problematic are the ones that are sprayed and genetically modified and so forth. That's even worse. So we know, so those starchy carbs, even potatoes are a starchy carb that should be limited. You have all the cereals, the breads that people are eating, all of these types of food categories, like your pastas. Not to say we do need some of it. I'm just saying that the majority of what people are eating is from that category of foods. So they get up in the morning, have their cereal, they'll have like a rice or pasta meal for dinner. They'll have it's like bread everywhere, panini sandwiches, and it's all, if you look at it, if you break down what you're eating in your day, balance it out. Like look at how much of that would be protein, how much of it is fat, and how much of it is carb. And if you're eating the standard North American complement, it's going to be sugar, which is basically in that category, because everything from that category breaks down into sugar. So it's going to be sugar heavy. It's going to be empty calories, like all the pops and the coffees and the alcohol. Okay, and then it's going to be the grains, the starchy vegetables, and all the breads and the cereals. So all of that, that's the majority of what people, and then they wonder why they're obese and they have these diseases. So it's really important to understand that we are built of fat and protein and some carb, because we run on sugar, obviously, but we have to understand how the body assimilates this and what it can do in any one sitting and how much it can absorb and assimilate in that moment. So what ends up, and anyway, when I eat carbs like that, like if I'm feeling like whatever, I'm going to eat a bunch of bread. I like to bake bread actually, but okay, I'm going to eat bread or I'm going to eat that. I will start putting on weight almost immediately. And it's not the weight you want, it's fat. It starts to pack it away, because when you have so much glucose in the body at one time, it has to eventually store it, because your body can only use so much glucose to make, which is the body's energy currency. It only needs so much, and then after that, it gets stored as there's a glycolysis process where you break things down and use them. But then everything else gets stored in the fat. So it goes into fat storage. And that ends up being also the home for toxins, because the body, if it has toxins, will always store it in the fat with the fat cells. So it'll transfer the glucose into fat and store it. And as well, fat-soluble toxins that the liver's overburdened will go in the fat. And so I will talk about fasting, and I know a lot of people do some long-term fasting, and unless you are really an expert at fasting, I will only recommend intermittent fasting for most people. There's reasons. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because there's a lot of fat and there's a lot of toxins stored in the fat. And if you start to detox too quickly and you start to put your body into the breakdown of that fat, you're going to flood the body, the blood, with those toxins. And if you haven't primed the liver and helped the liver get to that place where it can manage its phases, there's 3 phases of detox in the liver, which I'll talk about in a sec, you are going to feel so sick, and you might worsen your situation, and you won't be able to function very well, and all kinds of secondary problems can happen. It's just not wise, not the right way to do it. Okay, so the main, I did do notes and stuff, because I was like, should I geek out on this one? I have geek stuff, so if you don't want the geek stuff, just like hum a tune through the geek stuff, and then we'll go on to the layperson stuff. Because I still feel that if you're a layperson and you're not a practitioner, you should know this stuff. But even if you don't want to, if it's too complicated or it overwhelms you, then just skip past the geek stuff, and we'll go into just like simpler explanations. Because I want to respect where everyone's at in their learning, right? And I know that I can overwhelm people, so I try to do this in a gentler way, like try to not get too schmancy fancy with my words, right? Like not to use the language that I was trained in. I'm trying to simplify the language or make analogies, that kind of thing. So in my notes, one of the things that is important to understand is that when you're eating a lot of carb and sugar, your body's pancreas has to make insulin to manage that level of glucose. That's the deliverer of the glucose into the cells. That's what has to happen, and your pancreas makes it. When your pancreas has to push so hard all the time and make that much insulin, the cells themselves will get damaged. And that's where you start to see diabetes. And you see it in type 1 and type 2, where there's mismanagement now happening. You get free-floating sugars in the body. That causes all kinds of problems, the eyes and the limbs and so forth. But the important thing I want to mention here is that the insulin increases the cholesterol levels. And cholesterol and cortisol also have a very fine interaction with each other. They need one another because the cholesterol is the backbone of all these hormones. So stress management is a huge part of this kind of detox and healing as well. It's not just what you're eating. It's the way you're managing your stress. And so, you know, people who stress eat, well, they are trying to actually get the hormones to kick in. They're actually trying to get the sugars or get the fuel, but they're doing it in the wrong way. They're not getting things that are sustaining them. And then the cortisol cycle continues. The cholesterol will go up because of this, but the cholesterol is not the problem. We need cholesterol. It's our internal Band-Aid. So what ends up happening is, say you are eating a lot of these foods that are causing inflammation in the body, you're getting, you're setting up to atherosclerosis or arteriosclerosis, because it's actually nicking the insides of the vessels. All this inflammation, the cholesterol, it's the LDL, actually. It's the low density lipoprotein that is the one that comes in emergency style at the beginning of a wound inside to begin the rejuvenation, the process of healing. And so when someone's LDL is high, I know immediately that they need, first of all, they need that LDL. You don't want to lower it because it is there to prevent a worse condition, which would be a stroke or blowout, basically, because once you start messing with that, now the LDL can't come in and start to do the repair on the tissues. That's why. So when it's high, I know they're in an inflamed state. They have a lot of toxins in the body. They're eating terrible. These are the things you work on. You don't go and just give them a pill to decrease their LDL. That's not the good, the bad cholesterol. It's all required. This good, bad stuff, this ratio, it's bollocks. It really should be thrown in the garbage, and we use it as a marker of understanding of what's going on in the body, okay? And so I wanted to touch on that. The other thing I wanted to touch on, just because we're on the topic, is that when you're given a statin or someone's given a statin to lower the LDL, it inhibits the liver's process of making cholesterol, but that's the same pathway that also makes the CoQ10, and that is an antioxidant. Well, that's an enzyme, but it acts as an antioxidant that is vital to the muscle cells of the heart. And so I know that one of the things they say is that you need to lower your cholesterol because you're at risk for a heart attack, but it's the opposite when they start meddling with it, with the lipids and so forth. They're actually setting you up for a heart attack because they're decreasing your metabolite that's created through your liver called CoQ10, which is essential for your heart to function. So it's kind of almost the opposite. So anything your doctor says to do, you go, okay, I'll do the exact opposite of that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Like, you mean don't eat a low-fat, low-salt diet? Okay, I'll eat a high good fat and high good salt diet. Thanks. Now I know exactly what to do. I just, as Amanda said, whatever you say, I'll just do exact opposite, and that'll be my way to health. Thanks so much. Okay, so the other thing that's critical that we need to ensure we have is enough fiber. So that's where there are some good sides to certain grains, because the grains that contain fiber is what you need to move the train along the tracks of your intestinal tract to remove everything out of the colon. So you do need enough both insoluble and soluble fiber in your diet. I'm not saying no carb. No carb is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you want to start losing weight and detoxing, you go low carb. Okay, and I'm talking about those types of carbs that I mentioned. I'm not talking about vegetable fiber and carbs, because what you'd want to increase is your chlorophyll level, and that's coming from plants. You want to increase the amount of green anything that you're eating. You'll get the fiber from that, and you'll also get a lot of the chlorophyll, obviously, from those green plants. You can juice these plants. You can drink that all day long, really, if you want to, during a fast. That's what's called a juice fast. You're actually resting your organs if you take it in a way that you're removing the fiber for that few days of detoxing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's one of the methods of fast. I prefer juice fasting. I do really well on it. If I'm doing a fast, I will, my last meal the day before is at noon. I'll have something maybe light, like a little bit of juice that night if I'm feeling peckish. And then the next day, I'm juicing and drinking that juice. I'll do a coffee enema that day. And then the next day, I'm doing juices. If I can do another coffee enema, I will. Sometimes the way my lifestyle is, I can't. But if in an ideal world, I would. And then the next day, I would eat a high protein breakfast and a high protein and probably a big salad for lunch, and then I would continue that fast for the rest of the day and then do that for a couple of days, sort of going gradually back on food. That's a really nice way to detox, where you don't, or to fast, where you don't get so tired. Okay, so let's get to some of the going back to the liver. Let's do some of the geeking. So there's two phases. Well, there's three phases of liver detox. There's two major ones that are talked about, and then there's a third that happens with the second one. So get your geek glasses on, because we're gonna geek out. So So we talked about the liver as the multitasker. We talked about that when you take in too much glucose, it damages the pancreas. The liver has to pack that away and store it as fat. Okay, so we're there, right? Okay. So it has to. It also stores all your fat-soluble vitamins. So it stores your A, D, E, and K. That's the liver's role. And it stores your iron, copper, and B12 as well. It packages the triglycerides into the cholesterol, as we talked about. It makes cholesterol, and then it will also break down the triglycerides and use them as energy. Okay. Now the main two phases is to, okay, so what happens is when there's something in the blood, so the entire blood volume goes through the liver every about 3 or 4 minutes, depending on your body size. And once it gets filtered in, you have a removal of the toxins by phase 1. The toxins are generally in a fat packet at that point. They're not at a water soluble phase. They have to be broken down to be made water soluble. So that's why there's 2 phases. So the first phase is using the cytochrome P. It's called the cytochrome P450 detoxification system. Okay. And now here's the thing. Phase 1 actually will make metabolites that are about 100 times more toxic than the original toxin, just by nature of how it's cleaving it. It also will make more than one, right? It's going from 1 to 2. So there's quite a high volume now produced. And it's not a mistake of creation or anything like that. What's meant to happen is phase 2 is at the ready, and it can handle that under normal circumstances, and then it will make that into, it will hydrolyze it, or it will make it into a water-soluble machinery so that it can be removed by the body, okay? Now, phase 1 also will make that into a free radical, because think about it chemically, it's making something, there's going to be less electrons by the nature of cleaving it in those molecules. And so that is one reason why you want to have enough free radical scavengers or antioxidants around to make sure that those don't cause havoc in the rest of the body. And that's your glutathione. That's one of the master antioxidants that's available to shuttle or to bind with these metabolites so that they don't get recirculating and causing secondary damage. And this is the other reason why you don't want to go too heavy with your detox, because you're going to create too much of phase 1 metabolites and not enough for phase 2 to deal with in time for the circulation to begin, and you're going to feel crappy. And then it can come out the skin, which you'll see when people aren't detoxing properly. It will come out the skin. They will get eczemas and psoriasis and these kinds of fungal expressions and so forth. It's another organ the body uses to get rid of toxic waste. Same with asthma. You see a lot of asthma or bronchitis or anything at the lung, because the body's trying desperately to get those metabolites out of the lung, which is not the right place for it to go. And so it's trying to use all the routes of elimination to get it out of the body. So that's what you don't want. You don't want that uncomfortable or really dangerous position to be in. Okay. So you following me? I'm not geeking you out too bad, right? So when your antioxidant level is too low, then that's dangerous. And so that's why when you're detoxing, you want your antioxidant levels to be high. And I'll get into the antioxidants after I talk about this and what you need to be taking, okay? And also when you're juicing, you're getting lots of antioxidants as well. So if you're doing that properly, you should get enough through your food or through the juicing. So phase 1 also can slow down because if the blood flow is compromised in some way. So in those people who are aging or who have lack of physical activity, the blood is not moving appropriately, or under a high inflammation state where the blood is too viscous, or lots of meds and drugs that also can slow up the blood. So people who are cold all the time, they're not having proper blood flow, they have a hard time detoxing because the blood flow is not mobilized yet. So that's where you want to apply heat and saunas and lots of water, get that blood volume up, or you're not going to detox properly. And again, there's another argument for the juice fasting, because when you're juice fasting, you're drinking a lot of liquids, so you're going to increase your blood volume. So the other thing is, if you don't have enough vitamins or minerals, that will also not assist the detox process, that you won't have enough cofactors for the enzymatic functioning. So like that's your Bs, you need your B vitamins, so B2 and B3, magnesium and iron, those are key. And I talk a lot, I'll always say, if you're going to detox your liver, you must have enough magnesium, and I'm always encouraging the magnesium because that's one of the main ones that will prevent things from getting, backlogged or too sluggish. You probably have heard me say that before. Now, the other thing is if you're doing heavy metal detoxes or you're working on removing heavy metals, this is the damaging stage. So this is where you have to be super, super aware, because I know there's a lot of products out there and they detox metals super fast. They get them all out of the body, and but if the liver cannot remove them safely, you're going to recirculate the metals, and that's particularly dangerous, and you want to be very aware of that. I know there's this new like nano TRS that everybody's gaga about, and I'm not convinced yet. I'm still looking at it. I'm willing to be convinced, but it's not, that one worries me. You're really supposed to detox metals in a slow fashion because of the way that the body actually detoxes through the liver. So that's one thing I'm a bit concerned about that product and some other claims. But anyway, the way I do metals is very specific, and we work on liver detox, and then we start to release the metals and we get to our goal. Maybe it takes a little longer, but you're not going to get secondary problems. All right. On the other hand, where am I here? So if you have too fast of a phase 1, that's also a problem if you have too slow of a phase 2, right? That's one of the problems that can happen. That's what I was saying when we get those symptoms. So the antioxidants will get overtaxed. The excessive free radicals, which are the unpaired electrons, you'll cause oxidative damage, and you'll also cause chemical sensitivity. That's what chemical sensitivity really is, okay? Is too fast of a phase 1, too slow of a phase 2, and you're going to cause that oxidative. You don't have enough free radicals to sequester that properly. You get super sensitive because the body's saying, we cannot handle chemical load in our body. You cannot have that. As soon as you smell something, or as soon as something comes to you, your body will make you run because it can't handle any more of that coming in. So it's saying no, 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 like please don't. You can't live through this. So run away from the cigarette smoker who's poisoning themselves with 3,000 chemicals. Run away from the person spraying Febreze in their house, or putting hairspray on their hair. No, 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 right? And even they sometimes can't even handle natural aromatics like essential oils, which is alarming, right? But it's because they can't even process that, even if it's good. So that's what's happening in your chemical sensitivity situation. People who are chemically sensitive need to really increase their antioxidants. So that's beta carotene, which you get from, juicing, and vitamin C, which, you get from juicing, ideally, or you can take them in supplement fashion. I actually have a really nice C that I brought in for this. It's called C Boost. There it is, C Boost by Biomed. And it is very highly absorbed vitamin C. It's a buffered one, so you're not adding extra acid into the system. And it's 1 scoop a day, and it's 5. It also has the acai berry, because you do want vitamin C with its bioflavonoids always, always, always. Because high dose vitamin C, or vitamin C, even in the one time you're doing a dose and it's high, requires its own free radical sequesters, or it can actually become a pro-oxidant. It can do oxidative damage if it doesn't have the bioflavonoids with it. So always use vitamin C with bioflavonoids together, okay? Because, so this one is a really nice one for that. It's smart, it's done smartly, and you don't have to take a lot in it. So if you're busy and you can't do the juicing, but you want to do the detoxing, at least you've got your C, and then you can take a B vitamin. I like just my General B complex by Biomed. You can find these on my website. It's Yummy Mummy Emporium. Oh gosh, I have so many. I've been buying all my websites, so I'm like, oh, which one now do I do? Because I'm making a new website. I'm like, oh crap. So it's yummymummyemporium.org or yummymummyapothecary.com, and I bought, like, what else did I buy? I bought yummymummyemporium.ca. Yeah, Canadian, baby. So if you go to yummymummyemporium.ca, it'll be a landing page and it'll take you to the other ones. Just saying. I'm pretty excited about that, by the way, because my current website is annoying. And by the way, never, ever, 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 ever buy anything from Weebly, because they suck. I have to say that. I'm going to say that until I'm no longer with them. They suck. Okay, we'll go back to that later. So where was I? We're going to really get to Geek Town here. So anyway, so we talked about the chemical sensitivity problem. You need to make sure you're sequestering free radicals. You're not causing oxidative damage. You're making sure we start to work on phase 2, and I'll talk about some of the things that will help upregulate phase 2. Okay. So phase 1 breaks it into 2, cleaves it into 2 into the water soluble phase for removal. But if you can't manage that, it will recycle, and then you get a lot of woe. Woe is you. Don't do it. All right. Hi, everyone. Okay. So now, once you've released those toxins through the phase 1, the job of phase 2 is to add a side group. So it adds on a fat soluble or insoluble side group. To the fat soluble side group. My notes are weird. Right, so it's got a fat soluble group. It has to add on something to make it water soluble. So it's going to put an add on to that. And there's 6 pathways in there. I'm not going to do all of them. Let's not. I think it would be too long of a video if I go through all six types of detoxes through phase 2. Might be a little crazy, right? But anyway, and some chemicals go through more than one of these phases, but I'll try to just blast through these ones. And some are very popular right now. We're talking, the methylation pathway is one of them. Is very with the MTHFR and stuff. This is a huge pathway that's very starting to get understood by mainstream people, in the mainstream or just general population, just to try to understand what's going on with the damage from vaccines that can damage these pathways, these detoxification pathways in the liver. Vaccines damage the liver, and they damage a lot of these pathways. So we're starting to see the mutations in the genes that organize these pathways, right? So it's becoming more of a common conversation. So you may even know a lot about it. So first of all, let's talk about the sulfation pathway. That adds a sulfate group, which is SO4. So a sulfur and 4 oxygens, it adds that on to a whole bunch of different toxins. Particularly, you'll get bacteria does that too, Tylenol, yes, it's a toxin, a number of environmental toxins like bisphenol A, xenoestrogens. So xenoestrogens are hormonal estrogen mimickers, but they're not estrogen. And it's the primary pathway for the elimination of adrenal and sex hormones, thyroid hormones, and neurotransmitters. So it's a big one. For that, and when people are dealing with that, I usually increase their sulfur levels. I use MSM sulfur. I use the Happy Body. You can find that on my website. I use DMSO, which lends the sulfur, dimethyl sulfoxide. These are ones that increase this type of pathway detox of phase 2. So that's why I give those things, especially when people have these types of conditions. Then I know that they're not having enough of the sulfur groups to process this through. So yeah, MSM, DMSO are great for that. I also like to give methionine, and I also like to give the N-acetylcysteine. This one here, this is a good one by Biotics, the N-acetylcysteine. So you're giving basically the right amino acid for the job to move the pathway forward. And okay, so there's and then that goes into the glutathione pathway, the NAC. So, and I'll talk about that pathway in a couple pathways down. We'll talk about that pathway. Okay, so this one, the sulfur will come from methionine and cysteine, but also you need in the body molybdenum. It's a trace mineral, B12, folate, and magnesium. Again, you'll see that in all of them. B6, SAMe, and taurine. And so if you have sulfur intolerance, which means that pathway's been damaged, you have to go especially slower. You still need sulfur to live, but I mean, it holds half your cells together, so yeah, you need it. But if you have intolerance, it just means you're not metabolizing it well. You have to go slower when you do this, which is annoying and especially to people like me, where everything has to be done very quickly. It's super annoying. Thank God I don't have that intolerance. So, okay, the glucuronidation pathway, glucuronidation. Say that 10 times fast right now. Glucuronidation is from glucuronic acid, and it comes from glucose, and the liver adds this as a side group to medications like aspirin, food additives like benzoates, preservatives, and it also will do certain steroid hormones, and it needs magnesium, again, it needs B vitamins, and it also uses calcium D-glucarate, which I'll only ever give calcium for people who are estrogen dominant. I'll put them on calcium D-glucarate. I try to do all through food with calcium because we're usually hypercalcified, but for estrogen dominance, you need some calcium D-glucarate because it helps this metabolism process move those extra hormones out of the body, okay? So then there's the glutathione transferase pathway, one of my personal favorites. So it's a major antioxidant, as we said, for the liver. It quenches those free radicals, and that's made in phase 1, like we said, and it's a side group added to phase 2. Glutathione transferase is an enzyme that adds glutathione to chemicals. So this is for your major chemical detox that most people have to have because most people are chemically laden. So it'll tackle your heavy metals. It'll deal with your solvents, the pesticides, and any of the other weird plastics and those types of residues. Can you see why we need a lot of that? Yeah. So glutathione is huge. You can take glutathione. I just like to use it through coffee enemas will increase your glutathione level. So if you really want the highest glutathione level that you can get, you want to do a coffee enema. That's going to increase the glutathione levels in the large intestine by 700% and in the liver by 600%. That's way more than you can get in a supplement. But if you really need to, you can take the amino acids to help your glutathione, make more of that. You can also take the sulfurs. So the MSM will help increase your glutathione, and so will the DMSO will increase glutathione. So there's other ways to go about it, but keep that in mind. You have to have that working for you to get rid of those particular toxins. Then we have the acetylation pathway, and it's pretty much all over the place because what happens is, like during glycolysis, you make pyruvate, and pyruvate then becomes acetyl-CoA, and that is through the oxidation process of pyruvate, and that's in the mitochondria. So that happens in the mitochondria, which is our energy-producing organelle of each cell, and there's like 100 at least of them in each cell. So normally, that molecule is what makes your ATP. Remember I said that was your energy currency? Normally that's what'll happen. But in the liver, it's actually used differently, and it's used as one of the phase 2 detoxes, and it's a side group. So it's called acetyl-CoA, and this little side group, and it goes right on to the first cleaved from phase 1, and it will attach to histamine, serotonin, salicylic acid, so your aspirins, tobacco, and car exhaust. You need molybdenum, iron, and all the B vitamins and vitamin C in order to make that process happen smoothly. Okay, so you know, I always put smokers, if there's a smoker trying to quit smoking and detox, they have to be on these things. I usually do a lot of the trace minerals through Soleil salt, where you take the Himalayan salt and you put it to saturation and have them take 1 teaspoon of that day. That usually covers most of it, but sometimes I'll put them on a supplement if they're stubborn or they just used to taking pills or whatever, or think they're not getting enough. Sometimes it's the case. Okay. So that's the acetylation pathway. How are we doing? We're not geeking too hard, are we? We're okay. Now there's the amino acid conjunction pathway. So that is using amino acids like glycine, taurine, glutamine, arginine, and ornithine. You can take an amino acid supplement to get these, or you can just eat enough amino acids through our nuts and seeds and sprouts. You can get lots through that. If you want to use bone broth, if you're a meat eater, then you'll get it through your meats and that kind of stuff. So it is eliminating things like toluene, which is a solvent, benzoate, which is a food preservative, and any other environmental chemical. But in order for that to happen, your body has to be alkaline to do it. So that's usually one of the reasons why one of the first things I tell people to do when they're starting their healing process is first thing in the morning, you take 1 teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of warm water, almost like a tea, drink that on an empty stomach, and you follow that by a lemon, half a lemon. If you can't afford to eat that many fresh lemons, then do a 1/4 lemon in cold water. Follow that after the baking soda, and you're alkalizing your system right out of the gate and starting to get that happening. Lemon, and it actually is alkalizing after the fact, but it helps your stomach acids become correct, and you need that for proper digestion and assimilation. And then the baking soda at the first blush is going to assist the pancreas and your good probiotics, because that's the right pH for the duodenum. Because when it's warm, it'll just go through the stomach and hit the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, and make a happy, happy home for your probiotics. Don't you want to make a warm, inviting place for the good guys? I think you do. So, you know, put a little couch and a nice fireplace and a nice little potted geranium or something. Okay, so you need that, but the alkaline part you have to have in order for this detox. Isn't that interesting, right? So people are just trying to detox, but if they're the wrong pH, they're not going to get anywhere. So that's for most of those heavy solvents from the environment. And oftentimes I'll see a lot of cancer patients with this type of poisoning, and they need to be alkaline in order to get rid of these. Then our famous methylation pathway, where we see the MTHFR mutations, and it is, it's famous. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear anymore. I got in trouble for that, but it's too funny, don't you think? I remember first learning about it in school, and I'm like, really? MTHFR? We couldn't come up with another thing to write? We had to write MTHFR? Okay, I'm good with that. I can make lots of jokes with that. Don't worry. So methylation obviously adds a methyl group. A methyl group is CH3. And methylation is like ubiquitous in the body. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen with methylation. It's like a tagging that says, oh, hey, I notice you. I know what you look like, right? A lot of the body does tagging to identify what's going on. It's part of the cell's the body communication, the brilliance of the body. And so it adds that methyl group to quite a few hormones, neurotransmitters, various types of toxins to make them water soluble. The amines, serotonin, melatonin, histamine, tyramine, all the catecholamines, including dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, those all go through this pathway. So like say you have a lot of pain, this is what moves the pain along, the pain molecules along. This is where if you're like, you know, have a lot of asthma or have a lot of allergies, you know, this is that pathway. A lot of eczemas and these skin things, oftentimes it's this pathway that's not working properly. You need a lot of folate in order to function this pathway, and B12. It also removes phenols, so salicylic acid. You notice how many times salicylic acid has to be detoxed? It must be so poisonous to the body, it has to do all this different detox. I have people on this aspirin a day thing thinking it's going to prevent something when it's like only clogging up the liver, and the liver then can't get to the original problem because it's constantly having to deal with the detoxing the salicylic acid. And it'll use all different pathways to get it out. So obviously it needs to get it out if it has redundancy. So aspirin and cannabinoids. So this is where you remove cannabinoids and estradiol, BPA, and lots of other chemicals actually. Genetic mutation anywhere in the methylation cycle can therefore mean mental emotional imbalance, migraines, hormone imbalance, estrogen dominance is predominant with that, and toxicity, right? Because you're not removing a lot of this stuff, and it's a big one. So then it's accumulating and you're getting all these problems, right? So the main methyl cannabinoid I said. So like cannabinoids. You got me now? Okay, good. Which, by the way, you can get cannabinoids from other foods, not just from smoking pot, which I don't recommend. If you want to detox, you don't do that. It's the opposite of detoxing. And even with people using CBD and stuff for healing, you gotta be careful because your body still has to detox the cannabinoids. And so I say this all the time, like, yeah, it's not a heal all. You still have to detox that. So you better make sure that if you're using a lot of cannabinoids, that you've got this methylation pathway where it needs to be. And then a lot of people are putting their young ones on CBD oil, and they really don't need it necessarily because their problem is they have an MTHFR mutation problem, and that's going to compound the problem, right? Especially in a lot of autistic children, you know, got to be careful what you're doing there. Okay, so where am I? Migraines, blah blah. The main methyl, it's from methionine, so that's the amino acid that it comes from. The methyl group is methionine. So you see how all these things, you need enough amino acids in your lifestyle. So that's protein. But you don't necessarily want to eat heavy protein that gives acid, which is meat. You want to get your proteins from your healthy whole foods approach. So your nuts and your seeds and these kinds of things you get, and your sprouts, you'll get all of the complement from that. So SAMe so that will convert into SAMe. SAMe donates a methyl group. And then if it doesn't get recycled back into methionine to continue the process, it'll get broken down to cysteine. And then it can turn into sulfate and go into that sulfate pathway we talked about, or it can go to glutathione. Isn't that clever? And it'll go into the glutathione transferase pathway, which we just talked about. Or it can be used as an antioxidant for phase 1. So that's, I mean, if you don't know the body's brilliant, that's brilliant. That is so brilliant right there. That it's so smart. It'll make something go, oh, I can't use it here. Okay, let's try here. Hey, you need me? No, you don't need me. I'll go over to your Bob. Bob, you need me? Yeah, I need you. Okay, I'm here, you know. Oh, no, we still need you. Oh, we'll go be an antioxidant somewhere else. Don't worry about it. We got this covered, right? Whoa! Okay, so that pathway, like I said, requires vitamin B12, folic acid, which is methylfolate. Use the methyl B12 and the methylfolate. Some people don't do well on methyl B12. They want there's different forms of B12. There's the hydroxycobalamin. There's methylcobalamin, hydroxycobalamin. There's cyanocobalamin. There's different. So find the one that's right for you. But I usually start people on the methyl of both because it has the methyl group in there. And sometimes I even add in more methyl groups with the TMG, the trimethylglycine, because it's got the amino acid component already there. So it's giving 3 hits right there. I'll an MTHFR group there on that, period. Magnesium. Hey, magnesium again. There we go. Choline. You can get that from eggs. So you can. Methionine, betaine, and molybdenum. Who's taking their molybdenum today? Anyone? I don't think it's very popularly known, just saying. It's not had its famous, 15 minutes of fame yet. All right, so here we go. So we have the phase 1, and it makes things, it makes substances less toxic, but it actually makes them into free radicals. So that's sort of a problem. I don't know about less toxic. I think it's less toxic in the liver, but I think when it gets recirculating, it's not less toxic. It's 100 times more toxic. And then if you're slow, you'll be sensitive. So if you're phase 2 slow, you'll be sensitive. Actually, one of the things I learned about my hazelwood jewelry is that it increases phase 2 liver detox, which is so cool. So you can wear something on your flippin' skin that will increase phase 2, which is just mind-boggling to me. But it does, that's one of the things that the hazelwood touching the skin will increase that. I think it also gets rid of a lot of acids. So it assists the pH component. Okay, we did okay. We geeked out, but we're good, right? Like, it's not that difficult, is it? I mean, you can go back and you can, oh, you know the other cool thing about YouTube, when this is on YouTube, you can slow me down, so I'm talking super slow, or you can speed me up and go really fast. When I watch videos on YouTube, I speed it up to 1.5 times fast, so because I don't have a lot of time, so I just go and listen to everybody fast, right? And they kind of sound like they're a little bit nervous and they're talking really fast, so but it works. So if you want to slow me down, you can put that option on the speed setting if I'm going too fast for you or whatever. But anyway, reminding you have that option. It's pretty cool. Okay, so that's your different phase 2s and all the things that you need to get that moving. And that's quite a bit of nutrition. So the nutrition that you need obviously is included in what I said. Go to my second set of notes here. And you want to make sure you have your bioflavonoids with your vitamin C as your antioxidant. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. You get your E. You should have E when you're detoxing. Preferably not synthetic, preferably through avocados and food. Nuts and seeds will have a lot of it. I do like to eat a lot of coconut oil that's raw, olive oil that's raw, avocado oil. Avocado oil you can cook with, but when you're detoxing, you usually not cooking food. You're generally going to do raw, mainly juicing. And okay, so, and then phase 3, I just want to, just before I move on here, I just want to talk about phase 3. So phase 3 liver detox works with phase 2, and it releases now any extra amino acids and stuff into the bloodstream where you sweat it out. And so if you want to do proper detoxing, somewhere along your day, you need to sweat. So figure that out, whatever that means for you. If it means having sex for 4 hours, go right ahead. Have a good time. If it means taking a super hot bath, it means you're going for an infrared sauna, going for a run, doing some exercise, something to get this moving along. Now, I also recommend, I put together Dr. Robert Cassar's vodka skin healing solution packets. They're on my website, and you can open the pores of your skin to better assist the detox. You buy a bottle of vodka, you add in the powder, you shake it, and you, after you shower, you wash your body with it, and it really gets all the gunk off the pores, and it just helps that sweating mechanism work better and get those extra amino acids blowing off out of the skin. You probably blow them off through your breath as well. So yeah, sex for 4 hours. That's gonna be on my mind now for like the rest of the day. Because I ain't getting any, okay? Yeah, just saying. Where's the men in my life? Nowhere. It's like, oh, just me over here. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing then. That's fine. I'll just be single. Thanks a bunch. Okay, so there's a book called Good Calories, Bad Calories. It's a good, I can't remember the author's name, sorry, but that's a really good book. There's another one called The Great Cholesterol Deception, if you wanted to learn about what I was talking about earlier about cholesterol. So you have to learn yourself. Like if you go to a doctor, an MD, and say, hey, so I'm pretty sure I'm heavy metal, heavy because I was a smoker or I was exposed or the chemtrails or whatever. So I want to detox. Can you help me do that? They'll be like, you said words that I don't understand. Do you need a drug? That's probably what you'll get is most of the reaction, because they have no concept of it. I guess they've forgotten most of their training from year 1 and year 2 on how the body works. So I guess whatever. So you have to do it. You have to read. You have to learn. So find the cool resources for you to get that in your head in a way that makes sense for you. Take notes, do whatever you got to do, and then also, you know, use what's right for you. You can't eat heavy single sugars and carbs to do this, okay? So that's like pretty basic. You need to at least start changing your food over to actual food, which is your fruit and vegetable complement and your nuts and seeds complement, and your fats, your good fats, and your grains are like this amount, you know. Get off the breads and the starchy carbs and all this stuff. So if you want to lose weight and you want to get healthy, that's step 1, is that's your food shift right there. Can't do the coffee, sorry. Can't get healthy, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, and have like a bagel for lunch and, you know, a pasta for dinner, and your breakfast is maybe like a croissant. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to shift over to smoothies and high protein, like get a good protein powder, pea protein I really like. Get your protein up. You know what? You actually can't heal if you don't have enough protein, because the body uses all those amino acids to build everything and repair everything. So you need enough protein. But you don't need heavy, dense protein that's already built into protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. So as long as you're getting your nice complement of amino acids from your food, that's the best, because then you don't have to actually break that down and make arachidonic acid like you do from meats. Now, you can still, you know, if you're dead set on eating meats, by all means, but don't eat meats that are, you know, toxic, poisonous. You know, they've done all this horrible stuff to the animal. Like, you know, I usually just say, eat your healthy cheeses that are organic and you know where they're coming from, preferably raw. If you're having dairy, preferably raw. You know the farmer, you know what you're getting. You know, if you're going to do eggs, you know, I get eggs if I feel like having eggs. Sometimes I do. I go down the street to my farmer and I get them, and they have an organic farm, right? That kind of stuff. Not supermarket. Where the heck did this come from? What's in it, around it? I don't know. So don't put that in your mouth, or else just find something else, or grow your own food and do that kind of thing, which I know it's hard to do, especially in our stressful lifestyle, working too much and all of that. But do your best. Try something. Grow something, even if it's some herbs on your windowsill, right? Start somewhere. Every day you learn something and you pull it into your reality. It's not so overwhelming. It's like little by little by little. Today I am just eating 1 less carb. That's all I'm doing. Eating 1 less carb, and I'm going to invest in a really nice olive oil. And when I make my salad today, I'm going to put olive oil on it, and a plenty of it. Right there, you've just switched your ratio over. It's not that difficult, okay? Now, pea milk? No, it's pea protein. Pea protein. So you can buy that as a powder. I'm sure you could do pea. Oh, someone said there's pea milk. Oh, there is pea milk. Oh, that's so cool. Not pea milk. Peas. Just to be clear, peas. Although you can have pea milk, it's a different kind of detox. We can talk, if you want to talk about urine therapy, we can go there. If you want to go there, I've done it. It's another whole detox, but maybe for another time. Because I don't want to get too long. I get in trouble when I go too long here. But anyway, all right. So if you want to, so I want to talk about, so there's a fasting where you are resting your organ system so that they can focus on themselves. They can focus on their own internal cleanup, all right? The ideal way is to shift your eating, like I said, first, okay? Increase your pure water intake. Distilled is best. Spring is next best. Well water should be filtered. It's got too many solutes in it. Contributes to problems like arthritis and Alzheimer's. And the next best would be rainwater if we lived in a world where there wasn't toxins raining down from the sky. And then the next would be your own urine. Back to that. Okay, but anyway, not fluoridated water, okay? Not tap water that has chemical residues from all the different, you know, birth control pills and so forth that people are peeing out, and none of that. So drinking enough water, shifting into more ketogenic or more of that framework. Okay, that's step one. Once you've got that figured out, then you're going to cut out where your toxic load is coming in. What is the point of detoxing if you're just going to keep poisoning yourself? That doesn't make any sense. So if you want, oh, I want to detox my body, and you're smoking, you probably need to do that first. And if you're drinking coffee, you need to slowly come down the coffee so you don't get the detox headache, because it's a drug, so it's quite a bit of detox that happens. So you come off slowly, quit the alcohol intake. Sorry wine moms, can't. And anyway, by the way, speaking of that, if you're breastfeeding, nursing, or pregnant, you can't detox. Sorry. So you'll have to wait till you wean, or you have the baby and wean. So that was me. 3 years, no detoxing. I'm like, oh my gosh, how long am I gonna? As I nursed her for 3 years, I'm like, I really have to detox. I really am feeling it. And you can do lots of deep breathing. You know, you can make sure your nutrition's high, all of that stuff, right? Of course, but they're actively going after it. You don't want to, because it can go through the breast milk too, right? Okay, just wanted to say that. But okay, you're eating well, you're moving the chemicals out, you're not washing your hair with chemicals, you're not brushing your teeth with chemicals, you're not washing your body with chemicals, you're not putting it on your clothes, you're not, you know, huffing gas, whatever. You've quit that. You quit the huff and gas, okay? So it's time. You're off the Tylenols and the synthetic painkillers, and you're working your way down from all the drugs. You're working on a plan with someone who knows how to help you get off the drugs, either a very wise pharmacist, because good thing about pharmacists is they know how to get off the drugs. The doctors don't really know that so well, but the pharmacists do. First thing I do when someone comes to see me is I get them, start taking them off the drugs. So, oh, don't need that, don't need that. Here's ones where you have to go slow, and then we change the food. Well, we do that simultaneously, and we start to find where their key deficiencies are. Usually it's magnesium, usually it's omega-3 fatty acids. Get that happening. They come back, you know, a couple weeks. Hey, I'm feeling better. Okay, great. So now we're getting them to the next phase where they're off everything, and then we start to detox them. Okay, starting to figure out how you're going to sweat, how you're going to exercise, that. Then you want to start an intermittent fast where you're basically fasting for 18 hours. Okay, 18 hours. It's actually not that bad because you're sleeping for most of that. Okay, what you do is you have a decent size meal in the morning, so your breakfast meal is decent. You can have some eggs, and by the way, with eggs, you don't want to mix the yolk and the white. You want to keep them separate because that'll bind the proteins, and not as bioavailable. So hard-boiled or poached, sunny side up. You know, you can eat butter as long as it's clean. You know, we know that from some of the research done by Atkins, we know some of the research done by Weston A. Price, that these things do not cause harm when taken clean, and that they give you the right fat-soluble vitamins and, you know, vitamin K and vitamin D and so forth that you need. So you can use that. It's not the frying butter that's damaging people. No, it's not. So have your decent-sized breakfast meal, and then a decent-sized lunch. So you're pretty full. And then in the evening, if you're peckish, you either drink a little cup of bone broth or have a little small fresh pressed juice, just to help. Your stomach's going to, you know, totally reform at that point. So you have to sort of get over whatever food cravings might come up, and drink some water. If you feel that, you just always drink water. And then you go to bed. And so you've just fasted by noon all the way till you wake in the morning. It's 18-hour fast. Then you do it again the second day. So in the morning you have a decent sized meal, and it's so yummy. That way, after you fast and you have breakfast, it's so exciting. It's like exciting. Food's exciting again. Like, ooh, I get to eat oh, yum, you know, I get to eat this food and plentiful of it, and eat until you're full. Eat again at noon, your final meal, something delicious. Usually I usually like to do vegetables at that point, like have a big salad, lots of nuts and seeds on the salad, lots of oils and fats in that salad. Throw it together, it's like a huge meal. It takes a while to even eat it. And then again, that's enough for the day. You've got your food, and that's the last meal, and you do that for another day. So that is like a way of intermittently fasting. You can do that for the rest of your life if you really want to. You will get everything you need. Your body will be able to clean its own internal organs. You will heal a lot of your body just by fasting in that way and letting it repair itself, as long as you're giving it the right nutrition. So that's what has to happen in your first 2 meals, okay? That is just a simple way to intermittently fast. You are literally fasting for 18 hours every day. That is fantastic. Okay, and that's not too difficult, is it? I mean, it's not, I don't think that's too rigorous. If you want to do a coffee enema in there, you're going to get a little more ahead. You're going to increase your glutathione, like I was saying, right? If you want to do a sauna and get your sweating, somewhere in that day, if you can do a little light exercise and get your sweating going, have a hot bath, something to get that moving. Sauna, whatever. 4 hours of sex. I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. I will never forget. And okay, then if you want to do the next layer of detox, you want to do juice fasting. And it's very similar, except you're doing all your morning, you're doing juicing. Now that's how you start your detox. So when you're doing your food and you're increasing your food, you're putting yourself into phase 1 detox. And that phase 1 detox begins, did I write my note on that? Can't remember how many hours that takes, but phase 2, okay, it takes 36 hours for phase 2 to kick in once you begin phase 1. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, that's important. 36 hours before phase 2 is going to activate from phase 1. That's another clue of why you don't want to detox too fast, because you will get your backlog, because phase 2 is not ready for that. It's not ready for you. And that will be your conjugation of the fat soluble into water soluble, but it's 36 hours. Yes, it is. So once you start fasting, you're putting yourself into phase 1. By day 2, you're into your conjugation. You're into moving things out. That's where you'd really want to start doing your making sure your bowels are moving properly, make sure you're sweating and breathing, and all of that is happening. And enough water for the blood flow. So you have enough blood volume, right? We talked about that at the beginning, about importance of blood volume in your detoxing. Yeah. And so think about that. Just think about that. Your glycogen stores in your fat will start to be broken down so you're eating in the morning. The second you stop eating and you've digested your meal in 2 or 3 hours, now your body's starting to break down glycogen from your fat all through the rest of the day. While you're sleeping, it's breaking down fat. It needs glycogen to make glucose for your ATP production. That's how you slim down, and that's how you start to detox. They go hand in hand. When you start dropping the excess fat, automatically the toxins will come out of the storage of those fat cells. And that's why you do it in this way. I know there's I was sent a breatharian 21-day dry fast information. That's I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, in the lifestyle we live, like I'd have to automate my business, book a vacation in a warm climate, pre-prep my body with all this detox, and then do this 21-day dry, which means you're not drinking water. I mean, it's really extreme. This kind of stuff, it floats around. You don't need to do any of that, okay? Like, you really don't. You need to just get to your basics and help your body do what it does. And it does detox when put in the right state. Make sure your antioxidants are high while you're detoxing. your mineral levels are high, and you're ingesting the right foods. Now, when you do the juicing, you actually absorb it before it hits the stomach. It's starting to absorb almost by osmosis, well, pretty much by osmosis. You're not using a lot of enzymes to digest, and that will take the weight off the whole digestive organ. So it's a different type of fast than when you're eating in the morning, like solid food, and eating in the lunch time. It's a little bit different. You're still fasting quite, that 18 hours, but when you're doing the juicing, it's a juice fast because you're not really digesting anything heavy. It's a very fast transit when you're doing that. And so you're resting those organs, you're allowing the cleanup to occur, you're allowing the liver to do that. Now, there's other things you can do for the liver to detox. I often put people on coffee enemas. Sorry, not coffee enemas. Well, yeah, I do. We already talked about that. The castor oil packs. So using castor oil to help detox the liver, 20 minutes usually minimum. I like to do it before bed. Put it over the liver area, which is on your right-hand side under the rib cage, and you put the flannel on. You have the castor oil soak. It's on my website. If you go to castor oil on my website, you scroll down, there's a video, and it talks about how to do castor oil packs properly. It's a woman just talking about how to do it. I just posted it in there. And hot water bottle over top, or heating pad. I prefer the hot water bottle method. And then 20 minutes resting. When you remove it, just wash the skin off with baking soda, because toxins will actually come out of the liver and be pulled out right through the skin, and sometimes it even stains the skin. So you really want to cleanse the skin properly afterward. And that's a little bit of a way to alleviate the pressure off of the liver. Did I mention all my others? Oh yeah, okay. The other thing I often recommend to people, even before this phase, because they're so toxic that they need something, and they're not ready to do the food, they're not ready to change their diet, they're not there yet. Usually what I start them on are the homeopathics that are gentle. So I'll do one of two things. One, I'll do, this one's by Picana, it's called Apothecary. Gouttes is Francais for drops. There you go. Drops. Okay. So that you take 8 to 10 drops in a glass of water 3 times a day. You can put it directly in the mouth. I have ones for all the organ systems, for the pancreas, liver. There's this one, kidneys, is the Renalex. For the lymphatic system, that's Eiters. For the heart, Cardinorma. There's for hypertension, everything. There's one that drains the internal of those cells for every system. It's beautiful medicine. It's elegant medicine. And I use it a lot because it's like, how do you start, someone when they don't know anything about this? And so usually I just try to get them a little bit of their symptoms relieved, a little bit of detox trickling through, just so they have a little more hope and they feel a little bit better, and then they feel a little more motivated to actually make the changes. That's my strategy that's been, pretty successful so far. The other thing I often recommend, especially if there's kidney issues, is the biotherapeutic by Unda drainage kit. And there's 3 different bottles here, and you put them all in the same glass together. I usually suggest about 6 to 8 drops of each 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, depending on you and how you're feeling. You will feel tired usually through this, just slightly tired, maybe like your body wants to rest. It'll put you into that. Sometimes if people aren't drinking enough water through it, they'll get a headache. So it's detoxing, but it's very slow, and you'll still get side effects, but not severe ones, not damage, secondary damage, like if you do heavy metal detoxes too quickly, for example, right? Or you start to, if you're chemically sensitive and you detox too fast and you don't have the antioxidants, like I mentioned. So, okay, I'm going to go to comments, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I'm trying to be brief, I'm trying to wear briefs, which I can't go all the way to the top because Facebook loves to do weird things all the time. TMG is a great methylator. Yes, it is. We talked about that. Cannabis, yes, I was saying. Hi, hello, thank you. Love me some biochem. Me too. Ooh, baby. Did I show you my cool biochem book? It's back there. Did I ever show you that? I don't know if I did. This is one of my favorite books too. I don't know if you know Pascal Baudard, but but this is the new wildcraft cuisine. Oh, it's amazing. He goes out and he wildcrafts out in the wild and makes delicious food from just stuff that grows like everywhere. Yep, so that's a cool book. This is called Metabolism at a Glance, which it sounds so simple, isn't it? Like, oh, it's going to be such a simple, beautiful, elegant book, and then you open it up and you're like, there's my glance. What in Jesus is this? What on earth am I looking at here? Yeah, so these are pathways. These are pathways, and it has to be this big because that's what's happening in your body. It gives you an idea, you know. Here's what's happening in the mitochondria, right there. MDs need to learn this. MDs need to learn this. Just saying. This is your cytosol and your mitochondria and the interaction with it. Nice, huh? It's one of my favorite books. You want to geek out? This is like the master geek book. Here's your glycogen. This is what's happening in diabetes. There's your diabetes right there. Got it? Okay, so that's that's me geeking out on biochem. It's awesome. It's got everything. If I need to go, oh, what's the cofactor that is needed to make this pathway go? That's the book I go to. I don't even need to go on the intranet. Okay, let me go down here if it'll let me. 7 new comments, but it won't let me go there. Love coconut oil. Yes, I do too. Use that for everything. You got the vodka. Oh, you got the vodka skin healing solution. Starting it tomorrow. Good for you. It'll feel so cool. It's strong. You'll be like, whoo, when you're putting it on. It's kind of stinky, but it works really awesome. So yeah, this doesn't want to work. She probably has a secret lover. Who? Me? I wish. Can I? I want a secret lover. I just want a husband or somebody who's like around. That'd be kind of fun. Whatever. What about gluten-free bread? Well, just be careful with gluten-free anything because usually it's full of other garbage and you don't want it, and it's usually empty calories, usually not a lot of goodness. Now, if it's a good gluten-free bread, it's like spelt or something, yeah, but it's still stripped and there's still additives. And so usually when I go grains, I suggest to you always pre-soak your grains to get rid of the phytic acid, soak them overnight, get them almost to sprouting level. Then they're starting to make all their minerals and nutrients and everything. So that's usually how I roll with the whole grain side of everything. Even if I'm going to bake bread, I sprout the wheat berries first, or the wheat, and then dry it again, and then it's a whole process. Just if you're gonna buy a bread, at least get a sprouted bread. All right, pea milk. Yeah, we talked about pea milk. Love that pea milk. Yes, we can talk about urine detox another time. It's powerful. Woo! What is ripplefoods.com? I will check it out. Thank you very much. It must be the PP protein. And are you going to talk about ozone therapy in the blood? I like ozone therapy. It's you're adding oxygen into, you're saturating yourself with oxygen. It's going to alkaline things. You can use. There's lots of ways of detoxing. I'm just talking basic stuff. I'm talking like what you can realistically do and afford. You can go do hyperbaric oxygen chambers. You can do like Rife machine stuff. Like I put myself on detox programs on my Rife machine. You know, I'm on one right now as we speak, just so you know. Well, I'm also on I get these migraines from, I talked about my cavitation problem. And so I've been on that machine for that as well. Oh, there's a lot of ways to detox. Yeah, like a lot. So no, I don't want to get too overwhelm everyone with all the different methods, but yeah, you can use ozone if you want to do a different kind, but that's probably not going to give you all the minerals and things you need, vitamins, right? So, okay, so thank you for my public service link to my YouTube channel. So YouTube channel, yeah, hi, there it is. If you are on YouTube, please like, subscribe, make a nice comment, share, and all this sort of stuff. And really just try to help people as much as you can, because I'm so tired of seeing them all become victims of the stupid drug regime, you know, cartel that's called the medical establishment. It's terrifying, it's horrid, and it's got to stop at some point. This can't, I mean, everybody can't die. There's got to be some people that do stuff. So the more we share the knowledge, the better. That's how I feel anyway. I'm trying to share it, and I'm kind of at that place where I'm trying to also figure out how to share respectfully and how to engender respect from others. That's been a theme for me lately, is just how to also have good boundaries, because I'm not getting burnt out. And there's a lot of people who they just want to take the info, or they want to take from you and not offer something in return, or they don't consider you. And I've been looking at that as my own sort of, for my own personal, like, you know, how can I have that balance in my life myself and give as much as I want to, you know, because we have to figure that out, and everyone's got their own path too, which can be challenging. And oh, by the way, I do Reiki. I've trained in multiple forms of Reiki, but I do an angelic Reiki, which is more like working with the angelic kingdom. And when I do that, people detox, and I tell them that it sloughs stuff off and up, and it's emotional detox, and they feel it physically. I say you have to drink water after they have the session with me. If they don't drink water, they always get a headache. Always. Since 2005, I've been doing this. Every single time, like clockwork. If they don't drink enough water, they get a headache. And there you go. I told you so, right? Oh, there was a question. You skipped my question. No, Facebook probably made me stupid skip it. How do you have an instruction manual on how to detox your liver properly and what you should be eating, supplements you're taking? Well, I kind of did that here in the video. I don't really have an instruction manual, so you can just go. I don't have it like specific. I'm, you know, other than I talked about some of the supplements and the coffee enemas and your fruit vegetable, you know, eating, and you're working on high protein, high fats, low carbs as your main foods, and then you're doing the intermittent fasting. And no, but if I had the time, I would write a book or 10. I just have to get to that place where I can actually do more of the teaching and then have the books alongside of it. I'm just not quite there. I need people help, but I'm very isolated, so it's hard to get the people help. So I'm looking to hire actually a few people, but I don't know who to hire, because I need someone who's passionate about this and who's going to dedicate themselves into it. And I don't know, or as opposed to just some like 9-to-5 job kind of thing, right? So I can do Reiki at a distance. You don't have to come to see me. Distance healing is the same with the Rife machine. I have the Rife machine. People send me their fingernails. I put them on the frequencies. We're healing Morgellons and parasites and cancers and all kinds of stuff. You don't need to come here to do it. You just need to connect, and we can do that. So the books that I mentioned were, oh, you want me to show you the books? Oh, okay. So there's this one. He's also takes all the photographs. He's just talented, so talented, Pascal. It's called The New Wildcrafted Cuisine. It's a recipe book, and it's a sexy book. This is my boyfriend. This book is my boyfriend. Like, it's just really, and he shows you how to ferment everything, and it's incredible. He's in California, so sometimes I can't find what he's got here, but still. And then the other book I geeked out on was this one. I got it when I was in naturopathic college, Metabolism at a Glance by J.G. Salway. Yep. And there's your glance. Okay, bye. So I have lots of books. Want to see? Here. Here's some of my books anyway. How do we go? We go this way. Hey, it's so weird. Okay, this way I go. Everything's backwards. So that's just some of them. I have a whole library in the back room, but I like these. This is my Spooky Tube machine, And some of my, I use these books a lot, so they're out. These are some of my vegetarian and recipe books here. Let's see if you can see those. You can pause that probably and get some goodies there. Some good recipe books. There is my Rife machine. Let's see if I can get it down. Currently running for me and another person who has parasites. And that's my cold laser machine down there. Yep, I have a lot of geeky things. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much. I hope you took away some of that knowledge about how the liver actually works to detox, okay? Because when you know how things function, then you know how to behave, how to treat the body, what to take, what to do, right? That's why I focus on that knowledge, because if you know that, then it makes more sense, right? And then when you go to the pharma pushers and they tell you, oh, you need a drug, or you need to decrease your cholesterol, or you need these things, you'll go, wait, but you're not giving me any of the minerals I need to detox my body. Do you know about detox? And they say no. Well, you know immediately they know very little. And this is where we need to get to in our knowledge base. We need to understand this stuff, because it doesn't just have to be for the professionals. You know, professionals obviously need to know this, but the lay person should know it as well, because this should be taught in schools, all schools. This should be just basic understanding of your physical body and how you detox. And you should be doing a detox, a liver detox, 4 times a year. And I do intermittent fasting like almost every day. Yeah, almost every day, unless, it was Thanksgiving, so I had dinner and stuff. Otherwise, I usually don't eat like that. I have my morning and I fast, and I don't eat all day. I drink water, and I drink some teas sometimes, some botanical herbal teas for extra minerals and so forth. And that's the way to keep just cold free and sick. A lot of people get these colds and flus, and it's their body trying to detox, desperately trying to detox. It has nothing to do with the virus or protecting yourself from some boogeyman virus. It's all a hoax. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with your body taking an opportunity to try to get toxins out in a very uncomfortable way, or a way that can actually do a lot of damage to you. And that's why when the change of seasons come, people get sick, because their body's like, you better detox now, because we got cold weather coming. You need your immune system working better for you. We need to get this crap out. And you get all phlegmy and gross and diarrhea and all that stuff. And you sleep to try to repair. You're not hungry anymore. You vomit. All that is all your body trying to put you into detox on purpose. So why do you just avoid that? You don't need some stupid retarded vaccine. It's never going to prevent anything. It's actually going to do the opposite. It's going to add toxins into you that you have to detox later, that are very hard to detox. So it's the remember I said opposite. What does my doctor say to do? Oh, take the vaccine. Opposite. Oh, okay. So no. Okay, great. Bye. Right. So that's why you get sick. So if you detox, you don't. If you do that and you heal your liver, you don't get sick. Trust me. I don't. When I take care of my liver, if I know I'm starting to feel a little meh, it's time, right? But I don't get the full-blown crapola anymore, because I don't put a lot of dairy into my system as well. Dairy is very congestion forming. It's very mucus forming. So keep that on the low down, unless it's raw. Yeah. And it's for baby cows. Are you a baby cow? I'm not a baby cow. Just saying. It's got a lot of proteins and nutrition and fats and stuff, but gotta be moderate with it. Okay, well, what I was asking for the books is more typing up the details, so probably best. Oh yeah, I can link the books that I mentioned in this. Yeah, I will. I'll do that. I'll do it. I promise. When I did a poll, did you see my poll? I tried to do a poll anyway. I don't know if it worked. It said, how do you generally detox your liver? So, I didn't publish it. So maybe I should do that. Okay, I published this. How do you do it? Or how would you do it if you wanted to? How would you detox your liver? Would you fast? Would you do coffee enemas? Would you juice, or would you use supplements? What's your kind of go-to for that. And if it gave me more options, I would have had other. And then if it gave me more options, I also would have said castor oil packs, you know, deep breathing, sweating. I would have done more options, but it only gave me these few options. So I thought I'd do a cool little fun little poll, because we can. Because Facebook is like, we did a new thing, everybody. We did one new thing in like 2 years or whatever. I know I love it and don't. I wish there's something else we could use, but oh well. Here we are. So most people, oh, so it's even across the board here. If you do, yeah, so then, I don't know, just pick the one that you've done lately, if you do all of them, or the one that you found you like the best, if you've, on the poll there, if you do all of them. I do all of them too. So if I were to do my own poll, how do I generally detox? And I do all of it. I'd probably say fasting, because I would say that the fasting, if I did none of the other things, the fasting would be my most important and also my most accessible, right? I don't need to make a juice. I don't need to buy supplements. I don't need to set up a coffee enema. I'm just going to get my food and eat my 2 meals a day and fast the rest of the day, sort of thing. So that's my most go-to thing that I would do if I can't get to the others. So I know so they don't let you select more than one option. That's, oh well, that's how it goes. I think Facebook, we should give them some feedback that we'd like a little bit better on the polling. Thank you very much. It's nice to have something, but so looks like fasting and juicing are higher, which I'd expect. I don't think coffee enemas, a lot of people know how to do them or are comfortable with doing them or understand how easy they are. Most people, when I tell them about it, they're like, what, you mean up my butt? And they think it's weird, or they don't touch their poo-poo hole, or they are afraid, or so it's a lot different in their minds than fasting. So anyway, thank you for taking that poll. So look like 33% fast, 17% coffee enemas, 33% juicing, and 17% do the supplements. Well, that's cool. But we know that you do all of them, and you should. Yes. And so again, my website is yummymummy.emporium.org, yummymummy.apothecary.com, or yummymummy.emporium.ca. Woo woo! And I'm excited. I'm getting new logo. I'm getting new signs made. I'm getting, you know, the new website's going to be really fun and interactive, and a lot more going on, and not so buggy and weird. And so that's something to look forward to. And maybe my series from the bathtub. And it'll be like, you know, the camera pans in, and I've got like a glass of apple cider vinegar, and you know, I've got like this natural bubble bath, some candles, some nice, like, you know, binaural beats in the, because I have a speaker with music playing over in my bathtub. I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna do it, I'm doing it right. You know, and the companion, oh, hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about apple cider vinegar for health. And I'll just have like something delicate over me, and we'll just do it all from the bathtub. How's about that? Okay, I'm in. Okay, so love you lots, and thanks for your support. And we'll talk to you again very soon. Okay, I hope. I do hope. Bye.